Let's get into this segment that we call drama. Tucker Carlson has been doing the rounds on a lot of podcasts, and he had some very interesting things to say.
I've got 4 draft-age children. So if you're playing recklessly, fast and loose with their lives, then I have a right to despise you, and I do. So if you're Nikki Haley, who's running for president, or Ben Shapiro, or half the people I see on television casually mentioning the possibility of nuclear war or sending Americans to fight in the Middle East, or in any way involving us in a war that has nothing to do with prosperity and peace at home, nothing, in other words, to do with us, Americans, then I have a right to call you out and be really offended because it's my family. They live here. It's not a joke to me. There's nothing abstract about it. And that is the difference between what's happening in the Middle East from what's happening in Ukraine, about which I had very strong feelings, but I didn't think there was a realistic possibility that my kids could be enmeshed in it. Now there is. So I would say to my fellow Americans, get a clearer picture of what's important. Your children are important. Okay, that's number one, your children. And if they're threatening your children, I don't care what their justification is, they're your enemy. That's how I feel about it. Okay.
Very well
Number
put.
one. Number two.
I mean, he's saying something pretty strong there. He's actually saying that, and he's suggesting it. He's not saying it directly, but he's suggesting that, Ben Shapiro and Nikki Haley are the enemies of this kind of America First movement.
And I would agree with him.
I would agree as well, too.
Yeah.
I think that we've seen what Ben Shapiro has said on various topics when it comes to the Middle East, and he hasn't met a war that he does not like in the Middle East. He has elevated into quite the kind of leading neocon in America right now. He is trying to make the argument that Tucker has taken him out of context. Ben responds to him and says, Tucker is simply lying about my position. I've been calling for a negotiated end to the Ukraine war, freezing the lines of conflict. I have never called for American boots on the ground in Ukraine, ever. I have never called for American boots to defend Israel, ever. Now, I don't think that he is being entirely honest in this. I think that it's been pretty clear that he is Israel first.
I think that Tucker's spot on. Listen, I have a daughter who is draft age. I have nephews who are, draftable, and I take offense to anybody potentially putting them in harm's way. I do.
Here is Ben, shortly after this October 7th attack, he's giving a justification for why American aid needs to be sent to Israel.
If Israel is forced to the wall, the possibility of nuclear exchange is extremely high. That is why it is very important that the United States provide the material aid.
But he's been talking and arguing for American aid into this conflict. From day one, he's been arguing that for years. If he wants to take the position, that's fine. But don't pretend like you're not taking that position. Don't pretend like us sending over assets to that area is not the United States getting involved. And that's what Tucker said. Tucker said, we don't want to get involved in this in any way, and you shouldn't be flippantly talking about nuclear war. He is obviously Israel's
Even
first.
Stevie Wonder can see that.
Yes.
The existence of the state of Israel is the single greatest guarantor of my loyalty to the United States, frankly. Right? Because Israel exists, that means the United States is going to be a more welcoming place for me, because Israel is there as a backstop in case anything should go wrong.
Right.
Basically saying that his devotion to the United States hinges on the United States backing and supporting Israel. Okay, that is not America first. That is Israel first. And that is something that Tucker is obviously seeing. And with his rhetoric and with the way that he has been warmongering now for years, but especially since October 7th, it's a fair criticism that Tucker has been taking. And his comments right there are very, very clear. He is devoted to the United States as long as the United States is devoted to Israel. Okay? I don't think it's such a far-fetched thing to say, oh, he doesn't love the United States the same way that I love the United States, I being Tucker, all right? So it always goes back to that with Ben Shapiro. It always goes back to, do you back Israel? And if you don't, then, there's something wrong with you.